What's up, guys? We are back with another Power Rangers Lightning Collection review, taking a look at an actual standard Ranger from SPD today. So we've already got Shadow Ranger, but we're getting the Red Ranger now in this particular wave. We've got him here in our standard packaging for the line with the figure there in the window. Fantastic stylized artwork in the corner that wraps around the side panel. And then on the back of the box, you have got a rendered shot of our Red Ranger in action. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our SPD Red Ranger. So we're getting into the actual core team when it comes to this season. So we did, of course, have the Shadow Ranger in Wave 1 of the Lightning Collection. And we're kicking things off with Red Ranger as they dive into the standard crew. So let's see what this guy can do. He is pretty standard as far as build goes. So that means he's going to be really unencumbered when it comes to moving him around. There's really nothing in the way on this guy, similar to the Zeo Blue Ranger in this same wave. They're very basic in terms of their construction, nothing really getting in the way. So he can look up, he can look down really good. You've got full rotation, no real tilt on this guy. Arms go all the way out. They rotate, of course, at the shoulder all the way around. And then you've got your butterfly joint. He moves really, really well. I don't have any issues with those. Your bicep swivel, double jointed elbows give you really good movement there. That's way more than 90. You've got rotation and vertical hinges on these particular hands. These are the trigger finger gripping hands. He does have a couple other hands which have lateral hinges. You've got your upper torso diaphragm cut, so all the way around. Full rotation, of course, and then you've got your ab crunch, so he goes all the way backwards, all the way forwards, and then pretty good tilt side to side. Legs go out about that far. He does have the holsters to kind of maneuver around, but they don't really get in the way. Kick forward, kick backwards only a little bit. You do have a thigh cut, double jointed knees, of course, and then you've got your boot cut down there, rocker, and hinges at the ankles. So pretty standard for the line, but that's not a bad thing. As usual, he moves really well. Plenty of opportunities to get this guy into some really solid poses. Now, as far as the looks go, there's not a lot to gripe about on this figure because I think we've got a pretty solid entry, as is generally the case for me when it comes to this line. I think they are pretty much firing on all cylinders, and I think they continue to do that. This guy is a little bit new as far as what we've seen in this line. We do have the Shadow Ranger, but they're not exactly the same. That Ranger deviates quite a bit from your standard SPD. So you've got your base red body, but of course you've got a black arm, and then you've got him kind of cut down, not the middle, because he's asymmetrical, with the white stripe that runs down for like the 1 on his chest, with the black over here, which is painted really nicely. No issues here. If there's one thing that's been very unique and different about this particular wave of the Lightning Collection, is that a lot of the kind of odd paint mishaps that seem to be throughout this line in many cases haven't really hit these figures, at least for mine. All of mine have been really solid, and this guy in particular, even with such a huge stripe of white and the black down him, it's very crisp and clean. The SPD logo on his chest is tampoed nicely. The logo on the shoulder is really bright and very nicely done. Same on the back side. It's not really any splotchiness at all. Same with the kind of fringe silver on the cuffs, down on the boots as well. It's just really crisp and clean, and frankly it looks like it should. I haven't really easily noticed any weird paint mishaps. You know, usually there are a splotch or two on these figures that just kind of stand out. A lot of these have seemed in some ways kind of rushed at times. This guy in this particular wave, they just seem like, yeah, they painted everything exactly how they should, and there's not really been any issues, and it just looks great. I dig the design on these figures. You know, they very much have a law enforcement theme going here, and it comes through pretty well because he very much, you know, has that look with the nameplate on the chest, and then the logo on the shoulders, and then the belt buckle, which has the SPD logo down there as well. So it's just a cool looking design. I think it translates to figure form well. Sculpt is good. Paint is fantastic. And that's really evident, especially when you get up top on the head sculpt, because, well, not only do I dig this helmet sculpt, I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park when it comes to the paint applications, because there's a lot of paint on this helmet. It's smaller, intricate design in terms of line work for this kind of metallic silver that wraps around from the chin all the way around the back of the helmet, all the way around, and then the big angular black eyes. They look really good. Again, just like the body, everything is crisp and clean. I like the different textures between the metallic silver, well, not textures, but the finishes between the metallic silver, the more chrome emblem on the helmet, and then the shininess of the black and the shininess of the red as well. It's just a nice sculpt, nice paint applications, very well done. No real issues to speak of. It's exactly what it should be. Now, as far as accessories goes, just like the standard for this line, the SPD Red Ranger here does come pretty fully stocked. He's got a lot of accessories, honestly. There is a decent amount in this box. So to start with, you've got our unhelmeted head sculpt, as is kind of the hallmark of this line. And this one's pretty good. I do think that at certain angles it looks better than others, kind of dead on. I think it looks pretty close to the actor, Brandon J. McLaren. And from the side, I think it looks pretty good. It's just certain, like, when you're looking kind of down on him almost, it looks kind of weird. But the detail, the photo application is really nicely done. The hair is really well sculpted. I'm a big fan of this one in general. I think it's pretty close. It's definitely not perfect, which is kind of the case for the line across the board, but I think it's one of the better ones in recent memory. We've got some extra hands, so you've got a morpher gripping hand here, as you can see, and then you've also got a flat palm karate chop-ish style of hand. We do have the aforementioned morpher, so the Delta morpher. You've got a little bit of paint, red, and then the tampoed SPD logo on there, and it fits in this hand really, really well. It's not going anywhere once it's in there. He's got his two guns, so you've got one here. This one is transformable, so it can be in a vertical or an actual standard gun position. It is pretty well painted. Sculpt is nicely done. Reds, whites, silvers, blacks, as is kind of the standard for this particular show and its color scheme. And then you've got another one here with a different sculpt, because these are two different guns. More of the same in terms of color scheme, just a different sculpt here. So you can see they're not exactly the same. They're kind of similar, but they're a little different. And then we've also got an effect piece for the guns, and this one is the same piece that we got with the Magnet Offender figure. So it just, it's just an energy projection from the guns. So you can use the one that comes with Magnet Offender on these guns as well if you wanted to have two. So here it is right here, and it just fits on there just the same. It's a different color though, so it's a lighter blue. This is a more translucent. This is kind of frosted. So you can use both with this guy. He only comes with the one, so you'll have to pick and choose how you want to use it, but you do have options here in terms of how you want to display him, and I think he's got a lot of good stuff here. So yeah, I'd say we have another winner on our hands. Honestly, this entire wave has been pretty strong, from heavy hitters like Trini to a very, very surprisingly awesome figure in Blaze. And then you've got two really solid standard Rangers with Zeo Blue and SPD Red. It's just a lot of good stuff hitting all at once. Not to mention the fact that we've had some really solid paint applications throughout this line, and this figure in particular is a hallmark of that because of the fact that he does have some really deep cuts as far as paint goes right next to each other. That white to black transition was incredibly clean and crisp. The helmet looks fantastic, and this guy comes with a lot of accessories. My only real gripe is that I wish he had two effect pieces. We got a lot of effects in this particular wave, but he could have used two for sure, and he only has the one. It's not a huge deal. It's certainly not a deal breaker, but if I had one gripe, it's going to be that. So that's going to do it for this look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection SPD Red Ranger. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.